to Alderman Sabaris.
I brought up the subject of a disciplinary matrix to COPA right before you when they testified. And my question to the CCPSA is what's the current status and next steps with helping to institute a disciplinary matrix?
I was able to hear some of the COPA hearing, and as you heard, there are a lot of complications involved in developing a disciplinary matrix. The one thing that I find encouraging in this is that we haven't had conversations with anyone who has said anything other than that it would be incredibly valuable to have one. We've had those meetings with the superintendent. We've had those meetings with the FOP. We've had those meetings with consent decree. The consent decree team, we've had meetings with, there's broad consensus that there needs to be a disciplinary matrix. What's frustrating is that I think that there's been that consensus for a pretty long time, and there has been very little progress. So
it's in our goals that we set for the superintendent and the chief administrator as well. And we did have a meeting with the FOP. I think the issue, and Adam may have a different take here, that we run up against is that when we start trying to push on it, and then the subject of collective bargaining comes up, then it's a law department thing, and that's sort of where we can only go up to that line, and then it's like we need the law department and other folks to probably the mayor's office, to be honest with you, to convene that group, which is not an authority that we have.
So they have not been invited, the law department, in these discussions?
We have had, with the folks under our purview, I've had this conversation with the superintendent, with chief of staff Dana O'Malley, with chief administrator Kirsten. It's in her goals, it's in the superintendent's goals, and we've had a conversation with the FOP. So all of the groups that we touch, we have had conversations with about trying to bring this together, but that's pretty much where our authority ends.
Okay, so right now there's no movement or anything to get it going, to get it done?
I would say that we are continuing to push. The last meeting that we had with the superintendent, we brought this up again, and the response that we got was that they were going to work with the law department to try to convene and figure that out.
So one of your main responsibilities and role as CCPSA is oversight of COPA. You have the authority to fire the COPA chief. So with current oversight over COPA and the legal and budgetary exposure that the agency has brought to the city, what matrix does your agency have when deciding whether to move for dismissal of its chief administrator?
So we don't have a matrix per se where we're evaluating the chief administrator. We do have goals that we set every year. I will say that since a lot of this stuff has come up, a lot of the controversies with COPA, we have engaged in a process of talking to everybody that we can. We've also engaged with the law department, and we have engaged the chief administrator, and we have made not only a recommendation to the Office of Inspector General, but we have also met with the OIG and turned over everything that we have. I think that we have two different charges here, where the Inspector General's role, and Adam, please correct me if I'm wrong, is to figure out if there's an ethical or something illegal going on, where ours is to figure out and make a determination if COPA is functioning in the way that it needs to be. We have been engaging in that process for a while now. Most recently, we have requested to retain outside counsel, which I think is in the process of happening now, because as I was listening to the chief administrator just earlier speak, she said something very similar to she said to us on the record, which is, I don't make any of these moves without consultation with the law department, which presents us with quite a conflict, because the law department is also our lawyer as well as the lawyer for the Chicago Police Department. And so it was sort of entangled, and we think that we need outside counsel in order to be able to do our jobs correctly.
So this is outside counsel from the city's law department that you're seeking? Or
It's us retaining an outside firm,
an outside firm? Who's going to pay for that?
the city. Is that correct?
So the city law department internally cannot?
yeah, so that's that city policy. The law department makes the determination about whether there's a conflict, and if there is a conflict, they have the authority to
But
appoint and
in
pay
the
for outside
ordinance,
counsel.
you have the authority to dismiss and fire the COPA chief. You have that. What is preventing you from moving forward?
Well, I'm not here saying that we are moving to dismiss the COPA chief. So I'm here saying that we're determining, um, we're in the process of uncovering what's happening here. To answer your question very directly, we do not have the legal expertise on our small staff to make very, very broad determinations and do sort of a deep legal analysis of this. If we do something that's too quick or that's wrong, we open not only ourselves up, but the city of Chicago and taxpayers up to significant lawsuits.
So to save the city money and the cost of retaining an outside firm, can the city council override the CCPSA and dismiss the COPA chief? Per the ordinance, can we do
I
that?
don't know the answer to that.
The ordinance.
So the ordinance sets out a process that involves both the commission and the city council. First, the CCPSA has to take a vote of no confidence, and there's a process that's spelled out in the ordinance. If the commission takes that vote, then it shifts to the city council, and there has to be a hearing before the police and fire committee, and then ultimately the
She also
the
has a
full
chance to
city
respond.
council.
The
Yeah.
ordinance, the way the ordinance lays it out, after we take that vote, I believe she has 30 days to respond.
Correct.
So you spoke earlier when my colleague was talking about the amount of hours that you put in and that you take PTO to put in the work for the CCPSA. Why does it take that many hours? What can you be specific on the work that you do? And was that considered when you guys drafted this ordinance with the city council, that you were going to put this an amount of work? Because what I'm hearing from you is that you want to get paid now.
That's,
Or
I
no?
don't.
Clarify, please
It's-
clarify.
It's not, I think I just illuminated the issue. I don't think I said anything about the fact that I want to get paid. I was simply highlighting, how if you want to do this job correctly, the amount of hours I don't think was anticipated. So for instance, we're in the process of doing our goals right now and our budgetary process for recommendation to the city council. We have to meet with every single agency multiple times a week. Before those meetings, I meet with my staff, I meet with our lawyer, I meet with the city law department, I meet with the consent decree people. Those are all hours, 2 hours long meetings that we're doing every week, just to be able to get that done. Not to mention, we still have our monthly meeting that we have to have, which takes a lot of prep. So we're constantly meeting with different agencies, and that's not even including the amount of constituents who bring issues, who want to have a town hall. Right now, we just had a rough month, a month or 2 months ago, where there's something in our ordinance where if somebody presents a valid petition to us, we have 21 days to respond to it and to have a hearing on that said subject. We got 2 in a row. So we had a monthly meeting, we had the response to the one on the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and we had the response to the one on traffic stops. Just that alone, you're bringing in lawyers and expertise from around the country. We're meeting with different agencies. Those one meeting is probably 8 hours of prep and then 2 hours of meeting, and we had to do that 3 times in 1 month.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Alderman